Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube NFL segment, I'm going to be giving you my take on a subject that has become very popular and has become of interest to people. It's sparked a lot of controversy and debate, and it's about the NFL and, in my opinion, the need for it to eliminate or eradicate divisions. Now, the NFL for a number of years has had their little playoff scenarios, and a lot of times it winds up consequently having a team go into the postseason with a record that is worse than perhaps a team that is left out of the playoffs due to the way it's structured in the system. Now, somebody can win on virtue of winning the division. They can make the postseason, but they can get in at 7-9 or 8-8, and a team that's finishes second in another division at 11-5, say, can miss out. And I just don't see how that's fair and equitable. Now, I understand that some people are in favor of divisions because it may be something more compelling about it and makes an interesting story and makes it compelling. Say if somebody gets in the postseason with a 7-9 mark, and especially if they wind up winning a game, then that makes for a good NFL and sports story. Now, I think that this system does need to be revised. Let me go through in recent history. I'm going to go through some seasons, and I'm going to talk about what has happened due to this, what I believe, in my opinion, is a flawed playoff system. Now, the first one I'm going to talk about now, 2008-09 regular season. San Diego won their division. They had a tremendous 8-8 record, and New England at 11-5, and the New York Jets at 9-7 missed the playoffs because they didn't win their division, and they finished second and third, and they had superior records, but they missed it. Now the Chargers got home field advantage over 12-4 Indianapolis team and won 23-17 in overtime. Now, after that, they got thumped by Pittsburgh 35-24. Now, in this example, it's not only, I can't rationalize a team with a superior record than their opponent having to go on the road. That's one thing. And then you have these two teams that had better records in that conference did not even make the postseason. So now let me go to the next season, okay, where something similar happened. Now, 2010-11 season, you had Seattle winning the NFC West with a robust 7-9 record. Now, they shocked the football world, conquering the New Orleans Saints 41-36 in the first round. Now, they promptly got thumped in the second round. Now, 10-6 Tampa Bay missed the playoffs that season. And in that playoff game that Seattle did win and they shocked the football world, Marshawn Lynch scored on a miraculous 67-yard touchdown run where he was bouncing off people and making all these breaking tackles, and it was a phenomenal run, and that really was the difference in that game. So, and Seattle was 5-3 at home that season. Now, the Saints were 11-5. They had to go on the road, and again, a team with a superior record has to go on the road and play a team with home field that has the home field edge against a team that has a worse record. Now, let's go now in the 2011-12 season. You had the Denver Broncos won the AFC West with a sterling 8-8 mark. Pittsburgh at 12-4 has to go on the road, loses to Denver 29-23 in overtime. Denver is trounced in the second round by the Patriots 45-10. Now, you had a team with an inferior record get home field advantage, and Pittsburgh goes on the road at 12-4 and loses a tough game in overtime. Now, in the 2013-14 regular season, which was last season, of course, The Green Bay Packers won the division with an 8-7-1 mark. It's really very mediocre. Now, Arizona finished third in the NFC West division with a 10-6 mark, and they missed the postseason. Now, the Packers wind up losing in the wild card round to the 49ers 23-20. Now, this season, the 2014-15 regular season, may very well have a 6-10 or 7-9 team that wins the division, and undoubtedly you'll have at least one team that misses the postseason with a better record, and just because they didn't win their division. So I think it's safe to say, I mean, in my opinion, that the NFL needs to come up with some kind of plan and devise something, a plan where they could have it where it's more equitable for the teams in the NFL. Now, as I stated before, there's going to be teams that like the divisions because it can make a compelling story if somebody gets in with a mediocre record and they upset a team with a superior record. And there will be some people out there that will believe that like this, but I think for all intents and purposes it does make sense to do maybe some kind of reseeding. And what I would do is I would eradicate the divisions completely, and I would just consolidate all the teams and put them into one conference, and then you'd have an AFC conference, and then have the NFC conference and have all the teams. You have the 16 teams in the AFC all together, no more divisions, and the same with the NFC. Now the problem is, in the now let's say you have a scenario where in one conference, now after you have the top 6 teams, now let's say the number 17 is 9-7. Now let's say in the other conference the number 6 team is 8-8. Now you'll have some people squawking about, well, how come though the 9-7 team missed the postseason in one conference, but an 8-8 team got the number 6 mark in the other? Now that's a whole nother ball game. I mean, there'll be some people that will think that maybe all the teams should be amalgamated and put them in one gigantic conference. Now I'm not really sure about that. I mean, that might be the most fair way to do it, but I don't know if how difficult it would be to get some kind of agreement to have all 32 teams be just in one great big gigantic conference. Then you would have to wind up restructuring the playoffs a little bit, and I guess you would have the top 12 teams make this postseason. You might have something like, maybe you'd have the top 4 teams get that first round bye and just do the round robin like how it's set now, except of course you wouldn't have the divisions. But anyway, people, I'm going to go to my computer screen, and I'm going to give you a rundown, and we're going to look at the playoff standings right now, and then I'm going to show you the revised playoff standings if divisions were eliminated. So just hold on momentarily. Okay, people, let's get this set here. I'm sorry it's a little bit on an angle here, folks, but if you can read it. Okay, I got the 2014-15 NFC playoff standings. If the season were to end today, you have Arizona number 1, first round bye, Green Bay 2, first round bye. Then you'd have number 3, Philadelphia, would square off against number 6, Seattle. They'd be at home. And you'd have the number 4 Atlanta Falcons with their prodigious 5-7 mark at home versus Dallas, a team that is 9-4. 9-4 Dallas would have to go on the road. I think that's preposterous. Then you'd have number 6 Seattle. They would go into Philadelphia. The thing is, you see where I have the asterisk? Those are 4 teams that have superior records to the Atlanta Falcons, but they're all seated behind them. If the season were to end today, you'd have 2 of them missing the postseason. You'd have Detroit at 8-4 and San Francisco at 7-5, and forgive me, that is just simply not fair or equitable. I vehemently am starting to really oppose this division set up in this wild card thing. So Anyway, what I'm going to do is we're going to go to the revised, how it really should look, in my opinion, the 2014-15 NFC revised playoff standings. So hold on momentarily, people. Okay, now I'm going to look at this. Sorry, it's on that angle again. We look at this, and you have Arizona, Green Bay, Philadelphia, number 1, 2, and 3 as before, but you have Dallas at number 4 with the 9 and 4 mark. You have Seattle at number 5, and Detroit is in at number 6, and I believe they would have been out before. I bumped Detroit up, and this is the way I really believe it should be. You'd have number 1 Arizona, number 2 Green Bay getting the byes. You'd have number 3 Philadelphia at 9 and 3. They would host the wild card round, the first round, against number 6 Detroit, who would be 8 and 4 right now. And number 4 Dallas would host number 5 Seattle, and Dallas being 9 and 4, and Seattle 8 and 4. And the beauty of this is that you have a better chance of having more competitive games as well. Not just the simple fact that what is fair based on the records, but it's also, the games, I think, would more likely be interesting. And those teams, as I mentioned before, that had those like 8 and 8, 7 and 9 marks and made the postseason, the furthest any one of them got was the second round. And if I remember correctly, the teams that won their first round were very, very, they won just by a very minuscule amount, really, and just barely got out of the first round. So anyway, people, let me go back and get away from this monitor momentarily. Hold on. Well, people, I hope you enjoyed hearing me dissertate and talk about my opinion on the fact that I believe that there needs to be some kind of reseeding, and I believe it really is just simply about eradicating or eliminating the divisions in the NFL and just have conferences. And I'm not out of the idea possibly of consolidating both conferences and combining all 32 teams into one, so you could really get like the top, you would have the top 12 teams, really literally, that make the postseason, and you'd have certain tiebreakers as well, but it wouldn't be based on division. It would be based on probably other things such as the strength of schedule and strength of victories. Well, anyway, people, this is Edwin Learnard, and until next time, stay well.